Okay, some of you have asked me to go back through how to format your data tables and your graphs so that they can be printed as a whole sheet. So I'm going to walk you through that real quick using Josie's data and give you an idea of how you should have this set up and what it should look like when you finish. First and foremost, you need to do some editing to your current spreadsheet. So as you can see, Josie has her title in here, comparison of throwing distance by age. And then she has her labels for her groups. So senior 1, senior 2, freshman 1, freshman 2. Here's a little refresher for you as far as the average table and how you build that. So I'm going to take this off real quick. I'm going to take the headings because you have your groups even for your average table. Put the word average in, and then I type equals. You come up here and click on this little button that means the equation button. Click on average. And I'm going to drag through my first group, hit enter. Now all I need to do is go in and do that for each group. There's some other shortcuts, but I'm just going to repeat this a few times for you so that you can see over and over again how to find the average. The next thing you need to do is you need to format your numbers so that the decimal place is the same. So notice how freshman 1 has a larger decimal place than freshman 2. So I'm going to highlight all of them, go to Format, Number, and put the number to 2 decimal places. Now I can merge. I'm going to highlight those cells across, merge the cells, and type in comparison of throwing distance by age. And it's actually my average comparison of throwing distance by age. Now I have my data tables, and you guys also were asked to make raw data graphs and average data graphs. So here's how we do that. You have to have this blank box up here. Remember not to put something in this box. Do not click on your title when you do this, but click in the blank box and drag across. Go up to your chart. And then you're going to start picking out what chart you want. So she could group this by seniors, and then all of her trials would be bars, or she could have her trials coming across. And we're not going to do column, we're actually going to do a bar graph. So notice here how she can have senior 1, 2, freshman 1, 2, or she can compare in trial 1 each of the 3. So senior to senior 2, freshman 1 to freshman 2, which is great. Then click Customize, put the title in, Comparison of Throwing Distance by Age. Next thing is I would highly recommend that you move that legend so that it's not squeezing your data. Either move it to the bottom or even move it inside up here in the top portion. Either one of them looks fine, and it gives your bar graph a little bit more space. Your horizontal axis does not need to be labeled. That's a mistake I'm seeing over and over again. It says trial 1 down here, which means this is already labeled. What you need to label is your left vertical axis. So in this case, it's going to be throwing distance, parentheses, feet. You need your measurement, throwing distance, and your unit of measurement, parentheses, feet. You can continue down and make sure you have everything else completed. Insert, and move it to its own sheet. Do not leave this so that it's covering up your spreadsheet. Use this little button here, and if you can't see it, it's because you clicked off. So click on the chart, find that drop down, move to own sheet. Now I'm going to click on this button here, this little spreadsheet button at the bottom, and I'm going to label that as comparison of throwing distance raw data. So that's all of my data, and I now have that labeled. Now you can edit. Click, move and resize. Make this large. Do not waste white space. I'm going to adjust my font size. On a board, you probably want easily size 24 font. So I'm going to make my title bigger. I'm going to make this side label at least size 20. My trials are okay down here. My legend looks okay. So now I have a chart, or excuse me, a graph that looks nice. Let's go make our average graph. Click from the blank area, highlight, insert chart. Again, make it vertical. I'm going to come up and I'm going to customize my chart title. Okay, it's exactly how it is in the table. I'm going to come down. I do not need a label along my horizontal. My left vertical I do need as, throwing distance by, throwing distance, parentheses, feet. Now my legend, let's make it consistent. Whatever you choose to do, just be consistent with it. You can place that down at the bottom and then insert, again, move to its own sheet. Update by double clicking, so average comparison of throwing distance by age. I'm going to make it bigger, so move and resize. Make my actual graph larger. Make my font sizes larger. Make the side one at least 20. And now that one's done. Now, I mentioned to you in class that we were going to be moving these over into Google Docs. So the next thing you should have is a Google Doc ready to go. Make sure you open it up. In this case, it was assignment SR8, so Josie has hers named SR8. You're going to highlight whatever you need to move. Command C, Command V for copy paste, and you have to edit it. So this first column, these trials, I'm highlighting them. They need to be left-hand justified. Moving that over. Now I can move my column width. You want these to be relatively similar widths. I always make my headers bold at least. The heading, your title, needs to be moved out of this row. So I highlight, click and drag it out, or copy it, or cut and paste it out. I just click twice in that top row. I'm going to click with 2 fingers so that that menu option shows up, and I'm going to delete row. Now I'm going to edit my heading or my title. I'm going to make it bigger. Remember, my font size should at least be a 20. And if it looks way too large just for the raw data, because the raw data is not quite as significant, you can make it a little bit smaller. Another thing that I tend to recommend is you highlight that row and you make this little blue triangle slide over so that it's the width of your table, and then you can center your title within that width of the table. Okay. Lastly, I would recommend that you highlight the table and you do some color editing. So I'm going up to table properties. I'm going to change the border color at this point a little thicker, maybe to a 1 point in black. Notice how it'll make it pop a little bit more. You can change your shading color if you want. So maybe you want your headings to be a different color. Background color of maybe she likes soft yellow going across the top. Do whatever you want that makes that stand out. I would recommend that you take a look at your font size, and you might have to adjust the width of your table, but if you make that all size 12 font, it maybe is a little bit easier to read. Now notice how freshman 1 and freshman 2 is bumping. You could center it, make this a little bit wider here. You could also make it even wide enough so it fits in one line. And then you have a formatted table. So let's add in the average data. And I'm going to do the same thing. Format my column width. And one of the things maybe I'll do first is adjust my font size first. So when I adjust my column width, it's not something that I have to refix. My headings, I like bold. My title needs to be moved out above. I'm going to delete that row. Make my heading, what did I make it, a size 18 at least, I believe. Keep it highlighted. Move that little blue triangle now. So it's the width of your table. Center it. Let's adjust the table border colors. Highlight, table properties. And my border colors should be black. I'm going to make them 1 point. You can pick any color you want. My heading maybe is going to be that background color of yellow again. And then hit OK. Thing is, how are you going to get your graphs moved over so that they are large? So on your document, what I recommend you do is you go up to File, Page Setup, and we're going to change this to Landscape. Okay, so make sure that you, under your page setup, that you have this set to Landscape, and then your 1/2 inch or 0.5 for all your margins. And Josie's already done this for me, so I can move on now to inserting the graphs. When you go into your sheet that you created, click on your graph, and there's this little button up here that says Copy Chart. You're going to click that, go into the document, and you're going to hit Paste. Your chart comes in. You can move down a line, go back, grab your next chart, copy chart, and then hit Paste. So now we have the 2 charts on the printout and landscape, and so when we go to print them, they're going to be much larger than what they have been in the past.